Okay, so I want to address just one more piece here that I always go over with patients before their first appointment. So, just to let you know some tools that are available that I typically recommend and the reasons that I recommend them and the order that I typically suggest to people. Now, everybody's going to be different, so this is not a hard and fast rule, but this is pretty much, again, foundational. And again, everybody's situation's different, not just their health, but their finances, their time, things like that. So all of this, there certainly is room to tweak, but I just want to show you some basic tools. And then once we do these things, and do a reevaluation symptom survey, which one of the tools that we use to start with is a symptom survey that you fill out ahead of time. And it gives us a lot of valuable information, and quite often it will support things that we find on blood work. The symptom survey is a subjective input. It's your opinion, your rating, how, rating the different symptoms that are on this list if you experience them. And then we put it into a computer program, and it'll give us an indication of what areas might be out of balance and to what degree, how, which ones are worse than others. And that can also give us a good place to start. But after we do these first few steps, we'll do a reevaluation symptom survey and see where you are at that point. And it's kind of like looking at, if you've ever seen the cypress trees. I used to live in Charleston, South Carolina, and people down in Florida and Georgia and those areas, the deep South, you might have seen this as well, where there's the cypress trees. It turns the water this inky tannin black that you can't see anything underneath there. And if you ever had a chemistry class in high school and you did an experiment where maybe there was some colored solution of some kind, and you took another solution and you counted how many drops it took before that solution turned clear. Okay, it's kind of a titration process. Well, I kind of picture getting the slate clean the same way, that if we were to take that inky tannin black water and we put in a bunch of drops until finally that water turned clear, it was clean, the slate was clean. Now we can see there's a bunch of these cypress knees, they're called. These little roots from the cypress trees are hidden right underneath that black tannin water, but you don't see it until it's clear. And so that's kind of what we do with these first few steps, is about getting the slate clean and getting the body cleaned, and then working towards restoring and building it back up. So, but we got to do this first so that we can see where the true roots are. Okay, just like those cypress knees or cypress roots. So here are some steps. And again, I'm going to give them to you in order of priority and the reason for that priority. But once again, it doesn't have to be that way. I work with you as far as, the timing and, finances and all that kind of stuff. So the first thing that we do is the new patient visit. All right. And I'm going to give you costs where I can. I'm going to give you costs of some of these things. So the first visit is $140. And that's for about an hour of time with you. Okay. Then the next thing that I typically suggest is blood work. All right. Now, when I order blood work, I order a very comprehensive panel. Sometimes people might have been to their medical doctor already, and especially recently, I'm more than happy to take a look at that blood work. Almost always, it's not near as comprehensive as what I order, but it's usually enough to start with, enough to work with. And then we could do this blood work as part of the reevaluation. But if you haven't had any blood work done, I highly, highly suggest that we do that next. It's very, very important. It reveals a whole lot of information. And again, it's very comprehensive. And I don't just look at what marker's high and what's low and suggest a supplement to you. I'm analyzing it, interpreting it holistically. I'm looking at all the markers and how they play a piece and a part together with each other. So we're definitely would be running the cholesterol panel, your glucose, the thyroid, the thyroid screening really is what it is. Your metabolic panel, so looking at the calcium and magnesium and potassium and sodium and those kind of things. Also a complete blood work, the CBC, which is your white and red blood cells, and the hemoglobin, hematocrit, all of that kind of stuff. So it's very, very comprehensive. Liver enzymes is another thing that we're looking at. All right, and the cost of that is $150. Okay. then the next thing that I suggest is a hidden food sensitivity test. And let me explain what that is. Hidden food sensitivities or allergies is not your typical, I eat peanuts and break out in hives. We already know that. We really don't even need to run a test. All you have to do is eat peanuts and break out in hives and you know you're sensitive to it. This is a delayed, that's an immediate response. And you know, conventional medicine will run those tests, do a scratch test or pinprick or something like that on the skin to see if you react to certain different reagents, okay? What this is a delayed response that we could eat something today and as much as 3 days later present with any number of symptoms, and we're not making the association to the good apple you had 3 days ago to the headache you have today. And then you say, it can't be an apple. I eat that every day. Well, every day we have this chronic headache, but it can't be the apple, okay? And it can be the apple. So that's how the hidden food sensitivity test works. It checks the top 96 most common hidden food sensitivities. And almost everything on that list is real food. We're not talking about all the red dyes, blue dyes, yellow dyes, all the additives and aspartames and all that kind of stuff. I'm already telling you don't eat those. And I can promise you, you are sensitive to it, whether you realize it or not. We're not even looking at that. We're looking at real food. And quite often it might be somebody, you know, that's trying to lose weight and they're eating the right foods, or so they think, but they're eating foods they're sensitive to unknowingly. Well, here's the bigger problem. You're going, well, you know, I eat apples and I don't care if I get a headache. I just love apples. I'm going to eat them anyway. That's fine. But the more important part of what's going on whenever we're eating foods that we're sensitive to is it causes inflammation in the body. And remember the 4 words that are interchangeable: stress, inflammation, acidic, and toxic. That is a recipe for disease. Okay? So it's real important to know. We want, especially again, autoimmune diseases, we want to know the things that are causing inflammation and causing that immune system to either overwork or underwork. We want to know what's going on. Because our body only has so many soldiers, which is our immune system. It only has so many soldiers. And we don't want to give it unnecessary battles that it has to fight when it has bigger jobs to do. Okay, so we want to identify those. That is done through a blood draw. It takes about 2 weeks for the results to come back. The cost of that here in this area is $175. 25% of that is for the draw fee. The blood work, the test itself is $150. So if this is a lab that I use, a doctor's office that I use in the local area. If you have somebody that you know, I could see patients virtually, and if you know somebody in your area that will do the blood draw, or even in this area, if your primary care doctor or, you know, your sister-in-law is a phlebotomist or whatever, you have somebody else doing that, that's fine. The cost to me is $150, and then again, the blood draw is $25, which you pay the lab. And some labs might be less, like LabCorp and Quest. They used to do them in the Charleston area for me, and then they stopped. But at that time, it was only like $10 for a blood draw. So you may be able to find somewhere cheaper, and that's perfectly fine with me. I give you the kit. You take it to wherever, to the doctor's office I work with, or somebody that you know, and then they put it in the mail. We have the mailing envelope and everything, the tubes and everything are all there. So it's you know, very, it's not inconvenient for somebody else to do the draw. But that's the cost for that. And that's why we do it, is because of the inflammation that it causes in the body. And then the next thing that I suggest is a liver detox. Okay, remember I'm very big on the liver, those 500 functions that it has, over 500 functions. The liver detox that I suggest is quite costly. It is $270, but it is very effective. Now, I have used some retail detoxes in the past from a good health food store, and I like them. I like the companies that I have used in the past. I trust the companies tremendously. Gaia Herbs in particular, Garden of Life. They have some good detoxes, Renew Life. But I'm telling you, even on my budget, I can't get past the validity and the value of this detox, even though the price is, 4 times higher. Okay. It's just, and this is Biotics Research is the detox that I use. Now, the things that it does, Now keep in mind too, whenever we're talking about a detox, there's different organs or systems of the body we could detox. Sometimes people are doing more of a colon cleanse, and we're not talking about a colon cleanse here. We're talking about a liver cleanse, a liver detox. And what it does, the liver naturally has what's called a phase 1, phase 2 detoxification system in the body. This detox mimics that the actual body's function. It takes the toxins, makes them water soluble, pulls them out of the liver, makes them water soluble, and passes them through the kidneys. Remember, 50% of the body's waste is eliminated through the kidneys. So that's one of the big things that this liver detox does. But it also it addresses any parasites that might be there. It is addressing any candida yeast overgrowth that women in particular have a tendency to have an overgrowth of and causing all kinds of symptoms and health problems. It will pull some heavy metals out of the body if there's any overload there. And it does healing and repairing of the liver and of the kidneys. So it does a whole lot of things, and I love it. And I think that it's not an inconvenient, hard to do detox. In fact, a lot of the time, people will say to me after they're done, they'll say, "Can I keep on doing that?" It's like, "Sure, you can, no problem." How it works is it's for 3 weeks. You do a detox drink for breakfast, lean proteins and vegetables, not even any fruit for to eat. You do lean proteins and vegetables for lunch and for dinner, and you do a second detox drink mid-afternoon. You also, for the first 10 days, have some supplement packets that you take 3 times a day. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 10 days, 30 packets. You're taking that also. And those supplements are doing some of that parasite killing off and heavy metal pulling out, things like that. Now, what will you feel like? You may have some symptoms. You can have headache, maybe a cold, itchy skin, kind of fatigue, grouchy, you may have some of those. Then again, you may not. Quite often people are like, "No, I feel pretty good, no problem." Or you might. But I have not had anybody tell me that it's lasted for 3 weeks. It might just be those first, few days. But I tell people to relish in that. That's a sign that those toxins and that waste are coming out of the body. They're not staying in. We don't want them in. Just push through it and get those toxins out of the body. It's okay. Put on your big girl pants, your big boy pants, and get over it. Just do it, okay? But it really is a tremendous, valuable detox that I love. Why this order is that we want to identify foods we're sensitive to so that we're not eating them while we're doing this liver detox. We're trying to get toxins and waste out of the body. We don't want to be putting things into the body while we're trying to get them out. So that's the reason for that order, okay? And then at this point is whenever we do that reevaluation. We'll do the symptom survey and possibly blood work at that point if we didn't do it to begin with. But we don't want to overlook these things. So this is a process of getting the slate clean, removing the offenders from the body. When our liver is toxic, all kinds of symptoms, just like when we're removing them, all kinds of symptoms can occur if they're staying in. So, we're getting the slate clean that way, allowing this to function even better. And so that's kind of the order. Then with this reevaluation, we're going, okay, what's still going on? And with that symptom survey that I was talking about, one of the things it has is a graph. It's a bar graph. And it'll, any symptom or area of the body that you're making indications of that you experience, it'll show a graph, of how, where the problem areas are for you. After we've done this process, removed hidden food sensitivities, cleaned the liver, and I do that reevaluation, quite often we'll see that chart look like this. There's a change there every single time. And every single time people tell me that they feel better. Without fail, they'll tell me that. So it's a very valuable process. Okay. And then with that reevaluation, where's the flag, where's our flag still? And then we go and we target more specifically if we have to. Sometimes this process itself is enough to build you back up. And then we might, we'll make better food choices and some supplementation recommendations and things like that, give you, some steps forward to start building the body back up. Okay.